Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. As this is our last breakout session for the day before our keynote, I hope you all have been having a wonderful time meeting new people and hearing from inspirational speakers. I'm so excited to welcome you to discuss job searching for interns and new grads with our four amazing speakers we have today here, starting with Huma Hamid, who's a Cisco Senior Product Manager. We also have Toluwalope Bashua, who's a software engineer at Geico Tech. We also have Jaiden Price, who is a digital strategy analyst at Adobe. And finally, last but not least, we have Zanele Mureverwi, who is a service design analyst at PepsiCo. So in this panel talk, our amazing speakers will explore the critical steps to launch a successful career in technology, focusing on the unique challenges and opportunities that recent graduates may face today in today's competitive job market. You'll hear great insights on how to stand out during the job search, navigate internship opportunities, and transition from school to industry. And the panelists will share practical advice on how you, as the attendees, can launch your careers in tech. So without any further ado, I'd love to start with some quick introductions from our speakers. We can start with you.
Hello, everyone. I hope all of you can hear me. It's really glad to be here. This is my third WECode, and it just keeps coming, I keep coming back, and it just keeps growing and keep getting better. I'm a senior product manager with Cisco, and I have quite a journey in tech, transitioning from engineering to product roles, which is one of the key questions that I do get from a lot of people early in their career. So we can talk about that more. I focus on platform product management, but also as a growth PM. So any questions around that, I'd be happy to answer.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. So I'm a recent university grad from the University of Maryland. I graduated with a dual degree in computer science and information science with a concentration in UX UI. And for the last 8 months, I've been working at Geico as a software engineer. I'm going to be sharing my experience as to how I transitioned from my internships to get a full-time job and what I did to obtain where I am right now.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Jaiden Price. I am also a recent grad. I graduated in May from Binghamton University, and I'm working at Adobe as a digital strategy analyst. And our team works with C-suite executives across Fortune 500 companies to help them digitally transform using Adobe products. And fun fact about me is that I was a Harvard WECode Tech Fellow all 4 years of college. Anyone a tech fellow right now? Yay, okay. Yay, awesome. So this conference means so much to me, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions about converting from an internship to full-time, as well as, using your classes and clubs to find your path.
Hi everyone, I'm Zanele, but you can call me Z. I am a grad from the University of North Texas. I graduated in December 2023, and I've been working at PepsiCo for about a year and some change now. I interned there summer of 2023, my senior year, and I transitioned to a full-time role after successfully completing my internship. And a little bit about my role, I work in more of the creative IT strategy. Funny enough, we actually work with Adobe. We're one of those C-suite executive companies that they work with. So I get to collaborate with the graphic designers at my company, as well as the marketing teams, to help leverage a lot of the AI capabilities that Adobe has been implementing over the last year, 2 years. AI is literally everywhere, and a lot of the work that they get to do within their campaigns, they have been leveraging AI in that aspect. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the wonderful introductions. We have a range of experience and different, in the years in industry, and I think this will be a great way for us to kind of gauge a sense of how we as students and as maybe new grads can enter the tech space. So just to clarify, the format of this panel will be, we'll have some prepared questions and answers with the speakers, and then we'll then expand to the audience. If audience members have questions, we're more than happy to take questions, and the speakers will be happy to talk more about their stories. So I guess first get started with Huma, I guess. Something that most of us here are undergrad students, and as we go to search for jobs and job opportunities, it might be a little hard for us to see where our skill sets lie, especially when we transition out of school and into the workspace. So a big question you guys have is, how can they determine whether or not they're eligible for certain roles? And how can they overcome and approach transitions and perhaps gaps within their skills as they move away from school and into the industry?
That's a really good question, and I think the answer is, I'll try to respond this question not just for the entry level, but how skill mapping is going to be a continuous thing, in your career journey. So one thing, it's really great to be here with these, participants and speakers. I have graduated almost 15 years ago, a little more than that. And one thing that I have seen hasn't changed. How do I know if I qualify for the job, and how to really pick your first job? And I have seen, 15 years later, I can tell you that question comes up every stage of your career when you're ready to grow, when you're ready to transition, or you're looking at something new and something different. This is your first step, towards a long game. So one thing I would definitely recommend, keeping the vision for you in mind, not just the immediate next step. Like, what kind of problems really drive you, motivate you, and really help you, feel excited about doing something. That is very important before you even start looking at the skills. Like, when you are in your school years, what sort of projects really excite you? What sort of role within those teams really drive and motivate you, and you can just stay up, whole night and keep doing without anyone asking you? Those are some really key indicators of what sort of roles and skills are going to be helpful for you when you start looking for your job. The second thing is, when you have a little bit of idea, narrow down your search. Don't go for I'll be looking at a really broad spectrum for, I want to be a developer and a UX designer and a product manager. And these are all really good roles, but they all have slightly different skill set. Fundamentally, they all require you to be understanding the problem, solving the problem, and growing the business. Either if you're an engineer or a product manager or a UX researcher or a designer or working in strategy, or digital transformation. So whichever side of the problem solving angle that you want to approach that, see which side really drives you, and then try to map your education, try to map your projects, try to map the experience, extra experience that you are gaining in that direction. Useful tip, start looking at the job roles today. Majority of the job roles do highlight the kind of skills that they would like to see in somebody who is going to be, they're going to be hiring. And for anyone to hire somebody, they really look at three things. The education, do you have the fundamentals to understand what the job requirements are, what is expected of you, which is basically what your degree is. The exposure, do you have an understanding of the real life implementation of the skills that you are gaining as a student? Can you apply them? And the expectation from entry level candidates is not advanced level application of the skill, but can you look at the problem and can you apply the skills from your education? And do you have that sort of exposure, maybe through your projects, through your volunteer work, through your stretch assignments, anything that can give you hands-on to that. And then the third one is the experience, which again, you can gather the experience either through working on the projects, through the internship. So don't just rely on the education side of the skill, but also the application side of the skill. And the more exposure and the application side of the skill that you will get, that is what really help you going to stand out when somebody's looking at it. The expectation from entry-level job candidates is not too high, like we're not expecting you to solve really complex problems because there are different levels. So at the entry level, do I understand what I'm the education or the skill that I'm learning? What are the fundamentals and the foundations of that? Can I take that skill and apply it to an actual real life problem? And what do I learn from it? These are the two really core things that I would recommend. And these are going to be useful when you are ready to take next step. 3 years down the road, you're ready for your next role, promotion, transition, whatever. Reapply the same method, education, exposure, and experience, and then you will become relevant for the next role as well. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
I just want to add a little bit to what she said. I would say always try to find the fun in what you're doing. I believe skill sets can be learned. If you have passion for something, just go for it and try to find something fun about it that you enjoy. For example, like I've always thought game development was fascinating, but I could never do it. But I started from like coding small games like Flappy Bird, and it's really fun for me. And I don't know if you guys know like the MacBook Pro, they have like this bar with this game. That's also something really interesting. Like I could look that up and try to code that one day. But that's kind of me finding the fun in like game development. So if you can find something that sparks your passion for something, you can always learn the skill sets.
Really great to hear. Yeah, no, I think especially like what you said about instead of focusing so much on the academics, to actually broaden your reach and like also know how to apply it. Just because I think as students we often find ourselves caught up in trying to study and like learn all the concepts from lectures and classes without really having the chance to apply it. So this is really great advice. Thank you so much. And I wanted to now ask a question for Tolu. I guess speaking about internships, many of our students here had opportunities and like a great chance to explore internships or other ways to explore their abilities in tech during their undergraduate years. I wanted to ask you, what is the best advice you have for new graduates and interns to make the most of the internship opportunities to transition successfully into full-time roles after that internship experience?
Yeah, to answer that, I would say always be open to learn, and also networking is a really big part of your career, especially starting out. The networks you make years ago could open many doors for you in the future. And also starting a job, being at an internship for like 3 months, you might just think, oh, I'll do this, maybe it turns into an offer, maybe it won't, but at the end of the day, whatever you learn at your internship is what you're gonna apply going forward. And then even when you start your job, you're also gonna learn on the job. And if you transition roles, you're going to continue to learn. So your knowledge keeps building, and that's what you keep using to progress in your career. And then for networking as well, those 3 months that you're with a company, try to network with senior engineers, leadership. Just, even if you don't have anything to say with them, just put a one-on-one on their meeting, on their calendar, and try to meet with them and just introduce yourself, make yourself known, make your presence known, because people get a bunch of resumes for a job position. There could be maybe 10 spots open and they get like 70,000 applications. But if you've made yourself known to, let's say, the person who decides, they already know your name, immediately they can pull you from the applications like, oh, I know this girl, I know her skills, I know the project she's worked on. So definitely try to make your presence known in a company.
I actually had a follow-up question to that. I think it's really important that we make ourselves known, and I think we all know how important that is, but I think what we struggle the most with that is how do we go about making ourselves known? So I wanted to ask you what maybe a personal experience of how you made yourself known, and how do you think that helped you?
Yeah, I would say in my internship experiences, I definitely struggled with networking because I always thought to myself, I don't know what to talk to these people about. Like, I could set up a 30 minutes one-on-one, it's like, it becomes awkward. Go prepared to a meeting, maybe search up questions online, and just try to find like a common ground between you and that person to just talk about. It could be something job related, it could not. Just try to relate to them almost. That's what I did to kind of make myself known, and just for 3 months, I'm just putting one-on-ones on people's calendars. you might not work in my department or team, but at least if I was to come back to the company, or maybe you move companies later, we could network. So that's kind of how I made myself known.
No, that's really great to hear, and we can tell that this has worked tremendously well for you. So this is something, some advice that we will definitely be heeding. So thank you so much. Next question I have is for Jaiden. Jaiden, also, I would ask that you use the mic that Tolu is using. I think we're just going to stick with this one mic, so thank you so much. You know, you mentioned that you were a tech fellow with Harvard WECode for like the 4 years that you were an undergrad student, which is amazing. We're so glad to see you come back as a speaker. But you know, another interesting fact that I thought that you had was, you know, even though you were like part of WECode for the past 4 years and you're here now and you're also working in the tech industry, you weren't a computer science major. And I wanted to ask you, in addition to that, you also seem to have attended several hackathons during your college years. So I guess I'm very curious about how you navigate that situation, also given the fact that you might have explored some different internships and such as well.
Yeah, of course. Just to do another show of hands, because I love that. Is anyone here a business major? Okay, awesome. I love that. So you might be like, why would I have any place at a hackathon? And one of the ways that I challenged myself to get out of my comfort zone in college was going to hackathons. And what I did was I found my place within teams. I decided to become more of a project manager for the team, and I might help with delegating tasks and making sure that deadlines were made. And being involved in such a technical space just helped me build my skills in tech fluency and also my management skills. So I feel like one thing that you should definitely do within college is put yourself in communities that you might not think you belong in. Like, there was nobody in my classes that were going into hackathons or going into Harvard WECode, and what I wanted to do was put myself in spaces where I did not feel comfortable, because that's where you learn the most. And when you step out of your comfort zone, that's where you can learn more about yourself, figure out what you like and what you don't like. And if I never put myself in hackathons or going to WECode, then I wouldn't be where I am now at Adobe, in a highly technical space, but operating at a business level.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And I actually wanted to jump in on that because I really love your emphasis on exploring some other parts that you might not feel comfortable in, because that's actually how I started off in tech, actually, because I came into college thinking I would study neuroscience, being a pre-med student, and I absolutely did not like the idea of computer science, but I challenged myself and put myself in the introductory CS class in college, and now I am co-chair of WECode, and now I'm a computer science major. So I definitely agree with you, and I think that's amazing advice. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And I also wanted to ask you a question. I guess, you know, right now you're a service design analyst at PepsiCo, which is super cool, super awesome. We would love to hear more about what that job entails. But I guess to that, you have like multiple sides to your job, including the creative aspect and the technical aspect. So I guess my question is, how do you go about balancing these two different aspects to your job? And what advice would you want to give our attendees here today that are looking to strike a similar balance?
Thank you for that. I would say, honestly, the reason that I'm in the role that I'm in was because I originally was going to do computer science, and then I took my first web programming class, and it was not it. Like, I was like, no, I can't do this. Like, I was struggling, and I realized that there's more to tech and the sciencey things than just doing coding and software engineering. And that's where I realized what I really was passionate about was, as much as I really enjoyed technology, I felt really stuck. I was like, wait, is it just computer science? And then I ended up doing more research and realizing, no, there's more. There's emerging technologies, there's digital transformation, and that's how I ended up in the role that I'm in now. And so working at the intersectionality of people and business, as well as marketing, and being able to selling things is something that I didn't realize was an opportunity that was out there. And so Kind of looking into like what I do on a day-to-day, I get to implement a lot of new processes with the Adobe application. So like you guys know Adobe Creative Cloud, Express, Firefly, they all use a lot, like literally if you were to go on Express right now, it's a free application, by the way. This is kind of a little free ad because I have to sell it to a lot of employees at the company, and so they use a lot of like AI in their applications, and so just being able to like know like having the safety of AI within the role and being able to educate people on what it looks like, because honestly, like it was something that came out probably 3-4 years ago. It's so recent, and so a lot of people aren't educated about it and honestly the safeties of it and how to use it in more of an ethical manner. And so I have been able to learn while on the job, because whenever I was an undergrad, I knew about Adobe and I knew about maybe Photoshop or like any of those other applications. I really probably knew like Photoshop and that was it. But now that I've been about a year into my role, I have access to these applications and I've gone to learn about them and add that to my resume and make that something that I am proficient in, and I can say that I'm not an expert. I wouldn't be able to tell you every single little thing that they have in there, but I do have a lot of experience from where I was a year ago just from learning, and that's something that I really appreciate about my role and just being where I am, because I work with marketers, I work with graphic designers. I can't draw to save my life, but I get to learn from those who are very talented in that aspect. They work at a Fortune 500, like they're doing campaigns for Doritos, Lay's, Cheetos, all these things, and I now have not per se an experience, but I get to sit in and look at the different sides of what the digital space looks like because I support them in that aspect. And so it's definitely helped me become more of a versatile competitor against other people. And that's something that I really think is important when you are in a workspace, a corporate space. Don't feel like you're just there to work. Like, you can learn. Like, take time for yourself during that work day or whenever you're in your internship and learn new things. Like, that's what it's there for. Internships are essentially there for you to learn and be able to add on to your resume and make yourself a very good competitor against others that are in your space. I hope that answered.
No, that was an amazing answer. Thank you so much. I think something that a lot of us forget is that just because you're in tech doesn't mean you're always bounded to the very technical computer science-y things. There's also so many different aspects that could be incorporated into your experience, which has like this creative, more artistic experience. So thank you so much for your story. And I had a general question for all of you, so please feel free to answer whenever you guys would like to. But I think one of the main concerns that a lot of the attendees have today, and I certainly have this concern as well, is about the current tech job market. It seems to be very overwhelming, and at times, you know, some people might call it very oversaturated. And Z, you mentioned AI, and I know there's a lot of fear right now as to, you know, I guess some of the questions that we hear are like, wow, will AI replace all software engineers? Like, what's going to happen to people who are studying computer science at the moment? So I guess, what do you think are some top skills and qualities that employers and companies are looking for in this day and age, especially when they're hiring for recent graduates for tech roles?
That's one question that my team, you know, at Cisco is trying to answer, and I think it's not just in this room. This is a boardroom conversation. This was one of the key topics in the last couple of years. If you're, you know, if anyone is following World Economic Forum, any global strategy leader conference, AI is one of the top skills that everyone is talking about, and in real still figuring out. I think that, so we will see, we will all see how the future unfolds, but we do know the things where AI outperforms humans in repeated tasks in which we can train these models to do things really, really well. But we also understand where AI cannot, outsmart humans, which is the human side of it. It can solve a large-scale data problem, come up with reasoning. But why are we even solving that problem in the first place is something that is unique to humans. So I would say that, the best way to predict the future is to become part of it, building that future. So I wouldn't just sit on the sidelines and wait for the things to unfold. I will actively pay attention to what's happening. And then I also talk about like application. The better we understand where AI can help solve human problems, help solve businesses, where the biggest impact can be, that's where we as humans can grow with it. And I think a lot of, LinkedIn and a lot of articles, AI is here to assist us. But let's focus on what exactly it can help. Like, where can it help in assisting? We definitely do not want AI to be doing human jobs, and I don't think it can do the human jobs. It can do the jobs that require repetition, a little bit of predictability, but yes, with new AI models, we are in the process of that. So my only advice, don't sit on the sidelines wait for this to unfold. Become part of it, learn it, challenge yourself, learn the skills. Problem solving is never gonna go away. Having that human connection, communication, collaboration, understanding the impact, and understanding why we are solving certain problems, those are the skills that are never gonna go away. But it really depends on which layer of this AI, evolving industry that you will be. Are you going to be somebody developing AI solution that requires a different skill set, that require you to understand the deep technology and the details of the implementation? But if you are somebody in the strategy, then it's, yes, understanding your business and where AI can help is a slightly different type of skill. You don't need to probably understand the models and the difference between, but yes, you should be able to look at the technology, but look at your business problem and the space and say, okay, this is where we can leverage the AI most. So you are kind of in the, leading the strategy in that way. Speaking from a product management point of view, again, multiple layers really depend which layer of the product management you are. Are you close to the platform? Then your skill set is more technical. But if you're close to the outward, outbound, then your skill set is different. If you're there are things that you're doing in your day-to-day life that can better replace with an AI tool, apply them. Now is the time to experiment, to get excited, to learn, and to become part of it. I wouldn't be scared, but I would definitely like, ourselves to be challenged and excited and curious about it and see what sort of problems we are able to solve with AI. That's my recommendation, and I think we as an industry still figuring out, my team is figuring out, because I am part of the learning and certifications team, and we are constantly looking at the skills that are going to stay and that are going to go away. And so far, it's human skills are going to stay, repetition is going to go away. A really good resource that I would recommend, World Economic Forum has published a job role mapping. I would highly recommend everybody to go through that. It is available on their site. It's available on their LinkedIn as well. That gives you the idea that each job role, how much of repetition that is going to be replaced, and what are the highest impact job roles are going to be in the next 5 years and 10 years. That is the best way to stay informed, so you're not surprised, and become part of the future that we are all building and unfolding together.
Yeah, just to kind of add on to what she said, I will also not wait around for AI to take over, quote unquote. I would say one advice I would give is always try to keep up with tech news, so you can know how to tailor your learning. If that for you is, getting a new certification or getting a new personal project or even classes, I would try to learn it, because it's a known fact today that a lot of companies are trying to go more AI focused, or at least incorporate AI in their products. So just branching out there and learning these new technologies that are coming to life. So by the time your resume lands on that table, you already have like all those bullet points, and I don't even need to interview this person, like straight hired. So just try to keep learning and be up to date with tech, because tomorrow could be a new thing. It could be AR, it could be VR, it could be anything. But right now we know AI is taking over the tech field. So trying to learn it would be a good thing right now.
Thank you so much for all these tactical tips for AI. I'm going to take this question in a different angle and talk more about some interpersonal skills that you can be building to stand out. So just to give some context, recently I was helping interview for Adobe's upcoming intern class, and there were about 2,000 applications for only a few spots. And everyone was really talented, had incredible internships, but the things that really made the people stand out when we were interviewing, aside from them having a really tailored resume to the role, is initiative, intellectual curiosity, and just their clarity of thought. So what really stood out was people who took initiative on campus. Might it be taking on a leadership position on a club that they were really passionate about and showing that in their resume. If you don't have an internship experience on your plate right now, it's okay. Get involved in your computer science club at school. If there's a website on campus that you notice has bugs or just looks ugly, reach out to that organization and say, hey, I would love to help you out and learn. I'm a student. And then the next thing is intellectual curiosity. You don't have to know everything by day one. Everybody started as a beginner. They're more just looking for people who can learn and grow within the company. So be open, ask questions after all of your interviews. Try to come up with, questions that really show that you understand the company, but you're also trying to apply it to industry trends. And then lastly, clarity of thought. This is something that can definitely come with time, is just making sure that you're being very concise with your answers and following a clear train of thought. And something that can help, and what I just did is I talked in threes. I tried to think about, what I was talking about in the order and going from there. And also storytelling helps. So those are the three things that you can do to stand out. And outside of that, there's something really bold that my friend told me, and she leads girls into venture capital. She's actually at Harvard. She said that you should do the work without having the job. So a lot of the times, there might be some roles that are hard to get into or break into, especially like venture capital. And she was, filling out financial sheets and doing other things and reaching out to people that are a little lower than partners at companies to show that she understands what the work is and that she's willing to put it in. And I think that that would be a really cool way to reach out to someone at a company and say, hey, Jaiden, I see you do consulting at Adobe. These are some clients that you worked with. I think that, you can work with Delta and use these products. And yes, it's very bold. You have to be bold to stand out in this job market.
Thanks, Jaiden. That was really great. I would love to piggyback on what she said as well. I was a junior and I didn't have any internship on the horizon. I was working at Lululemon, folding leggings, and I thought, this is it, guys. I'm gonna graduate, I'm not gonna have anything, what am I gonna do? And I remember talking to my mentor, and he was like, a lot can change within a year. I personally have spoken to a lot of students, and they'll tell me, maybe once they've graduated or once they're done, and they're like, well, I don't have I don't have a full-time job. I went to school and I have nothing to show for it. And I asked them, were you involved on campus? No. Did you have an extracurricular that you may be doing that couldn't like help you like be involved on campus? Did you have something that else that you had going on? And they say no. And I think that that is where we get things wrong. It's not enough today to just go to school and go home. You really have to, like what Jaiden said, get involved. Join an org. I was in a sorority and I was the director of social media and marketing. I majored in information systems and marketing, and I knew I didn't have any internship experience. I was an educator at Lululemon, so I took on that role and the initiative to do that job for free. I did the social media, I did the graphic design, I did all those things, the copywriting, because I knew that that was something that I had an interest in and I wanted to learn on that and take that and run with it. And so that was one of the things that stood out to the recruiters whenever they looked at my resume and I interviewed, and they were like, tell us about this, what you're doing. Was it tech related? Not fully, but it was a lot of SEO, search engine optimization, and I did a lot of analytics with the search engines and being able to look at the numbers of, oh, like what's working in the social media, like what posts are going viral, what isn't working, and things like that. And so that was something that stood out to them because they were like, oh, she has an idea of what like data analytics is, and that is computer based, and that was what I was looking for my internship. And so definitely standing out and just doing things out of the box like that can definitely get you somewhere. I know they say that there aren't a lot of roles out there and it's really scarce, but I promise whatever there are roles out there, and it's really hard to look at it now. But if you go ahead and take that initiative and really push forward with what your personal brand is, then it can make a lot of waves and it can change whatever you have. Like even if you just have that one thing on your resume or that second thing on your resume, if you really optimize it and make it who you are and show that you have a passion for it, it can change a lot of things.
Wow.
Just to kind of add on to that, standing out and also making your presence known, I feel like goes end in end. For me, the way I got my job is I went to Afrotech and I literally walked up to the booth and I saw like the senior recruiter there said, I'm here for an interview. I did not expect anything out of it. And he said, okay, sit down. Like, where's your resume? Let's have an interview. And I was able to defend my resume and explain my projects, and that's how I was able to get my job. But 2 years ago, I would not have been able to do that. Like, I don't even have that confidence in me. But I think being bold, like she said, and having that confidence to do what you want and what you're passionate about will take you a long mile. And also, to kind of add on to what Jaiden said earlier, it's software engineers kind of conform to a box in a way, you know, go to school, get your degree, in the 3 years, maybe do some internships, and in time, that's gonna turn into like a full-time offer. That's not always the case. You know, I've seen a lot of people I know personally that don't have an internship under their belt and work in a great tech company today. If you're able to do your projects, like personal projects or anything you're happy about or something you find passionate, you know, and you create like a portfolio and you're able to show your brand, like she said, it's also gonna take you a long way.
I'm going to add one quick thing, and that's kind of the wisdom of, you know, being in tech for so long. We're talking about a lot of success scenarios. You're learning a lot of skills. You go to different recruiters. You're awesome. They hire you. I want you to be prepared for the 99 times you will not be accepted. And that day, I don't want you to be feeling like that you have done something wrong or you are not doing enough. I want you to remember that this was not my path, and I need to keep doing this until I find my path. I want you to remember that that day when you get the rejection, that does not define your worth. So we can talk all about the success stories and the awesomeness of, you know, us being prepared. You can be the best package delivered at the wrong address. And just that day, remember that that is not the day defining your worth, not the day where all of your hard work is going to just go out of the door. look inside, look inwards that day, and remember all the work that you have done to come this far, and there is going to be a path for you forward. This specific opportunity, this recruiter, this company, this team, this role may not be the time for you that day. And there are two things that you can really learn. Either you will learn, okay, where do I need to go back and work on? Try to find that gap and go rework on if you're so passionate about that. Also, if we are talking about passion, right? So if you're really passionate about it, then someone's rejection really doesn't, shouldn't move us and shouldn't give us any doubt about the work that we've been doing. And if you're in that mindset of curiosity, maybe I need more skills, and maybe I need to learn to pitch myself different. Maybe I need to be working on different type of projects. Or maybe I just need to look for different types of companies. The company that I'm going for, they look for different type of talent, and maybe that's not really vibe with me, right? So those are the things that I also want you to remember, not just the happy path, the perfect scenario, because there is going to be 99 rejections that you will get, and there is going to be one acceptance, and that is the one that is going to move. And it's an ongoing game. It's not just your first job. 3 years later, a reorg happens, the company shuts down, technology changes, product shuts down, you are starting over. But don't forget what you have already come this far, and you will find your path. And that's the one thing that I want all of you to remember with all the success stories that we are all sharing, because we have all been there, and I've been there like multiple times. It hasn't been just a straight path that first job, awesome, second job, awesome, promotion, next job. No, it doesn't work like that. Careers are long games. You're looking at 15, 20 years of constant navigation. Networking helps you throughout your career. Upskilling helps throughout your career. Looking at the larger picture, problem solving, being able to pitch, all of those things, they will just keep helping you. Just don't lose, focus on who you are and what your worth is.
Also, yeah, just to kind of add on to that a little bit, I think one thing that's like hugely discussed is imposter syndrome. Especially being engineers, we could have like 6 stages of interview, and then it results into something negative. So that could in turn create like imposter syndrome. And I think what I've learned quickly being a software engineer, even with like internship experiences and full-time right now, is everybody's an imposter. They're literally all just winging it. And maybe they just know how to pretend better than you, but everybody is just winging it.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for such valuable insights. I think we have time for 1 or maybe 2 questions from the audience. If you have any questions, I think our director of PR, Grace, can go around if you guys have a hand. Okay. Can we take the other mic? Is that okay? Yeah, we can take that one. Yeah, go for it.
Hello, everyone. I know we are talking about the job market is not being the best right now, and one of that is so this happened to me as someone who's looking for new grad opportunities. I had multiple offers. I accepted one, and because I'm an ethical person, I returned the others. And then the company that accepted me come back and say, hey, we're not hiring you anymore. How should I navigate the situation? Thank you.
Okay, I can start. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you. That is really unfortunate. And it's a hard truth in today's world that companies are allowed to do that. And you, as an applicant, you can't do that, because if you rescind an offer, it's a negative look at you, but companies can do that. I would say don't try to think about that as a reflection of who you are as a person or as an engineer. There might be other things within the company that they couldn't, maybe like revenue couldn't accommodate to hire someone new right now, and they just found out. But never think that's like a reflection of who you are as a person or who you are as like a student. Just again, brush up on your skills, keep applying. There's always gonna be that one yes waiting for you. Yeah.
Yes. We can move on to the next question, but I just wanted to say that we're all so proud of you. You're obviously here, you're trying really hard. Career fair is tomorrow. You got so many people looking forward to you, so print out that resume, start again. You got it.
Yeah. You got it. And another question? Okay.
Hi, I really like the conversation or the idea of making bold moves, and I know some of y'all talked about like doing the work before you have the job or just asking for an interview like that on the spot. I was wondering if there are other stories like that or other like advice about how to make that first move.
Sure. So something that I did when I first started working at Adobe is that I reached out to head of my division and I told him that I had some ideas for him, which I feel like is very bold for someone who just started at the company. He's been at Adobe for 17 years. And I was like, you know what? I don't know what my ideas are going to be. The meeting's going to be in 2 weeks. I'm going to come up with it. And in those next 2 weeks, I really started to interview a bunch of different people at Adobe, specifically for this one product that we're going to be launching in June. Very exciting. And I put together a PowerPoint presentation about some ways that we can improve this product. And from there, he was really impressed, and I was able to get more responsibility and really show that I can do the work. And I think that something that's so important, and I mentioned it before, is be bold and take initiative and don't wait for opportunities, create them. And I decided to create my own opportunity instead of waiting and doubting of how old I am or that I just started. I might as well wait. Like if you see something, ask and go for it.
I would probably say, so I mentioned previously that I was in a sorority, and so there's multiple chapters around the country, and so I was deep into looking for internships, and so I decided to look up the name of my sorority and companies that I was interested: Google, Microsoft, Disney, all these things. And I reached out to probably over 70 or 80 women that were in my sorority around the country, and out of those women, probably about maybe 10 or 11 got back to me, and I just asked them, hi, you don't know me, but I'm a student, and I really want to know more about what you do and just want to grow my network. And I just did random cold calls with them, and out of those women I still am in contact with probably about 5 or 6 of them. And I think it just goes to show that people are more willing to help than you think. I know it can be really difficult when you see somebody who's been in a company for maybe 5-10 years and they're in their corporate space, they're so far removed from the experience. We're not. It's really a lot of people that you see that are successful remember that time when they were trying to break into it, when they were trying to get into whatever space that they're in currently, and they know what it's like, and far more times often they want to help students that look just like them, that were in the same space as them. So don't be afraid to hit that connect button on LinkedIn, send those random messages if you have enough credits. It can be pretty beneficial, because I know it really helped me. I didn't get any offers from that, but having that network is really solid, because then a lot of them were able to refer me during my application process, and I got interviews because of, maybe it was because of my qualifications, but I also had that network to add on top of that. So yeah, I would probably say just don't be afraid to ask. You will never know anything unless you ask. I know that's probably very played out, but it's really true. You can apply for a role and think you are so underqualified for it, and they'll be like, oh, we would love to interview you. And you're like, why? Because you're amazing, because your resume said everything that it needed to say, and they saw something in you. So don't ever count yourself out of an opportunity because you don't feel ready for it, or you don't feel oh, it's am I right for this? You'll find out if you're right for it. So
say it louder for the people in the back. That was so good.
Not a story, but something I did when trying to navigate like internships was I used LinkedIn religiously. I was searching up like companies and then put in like campus recruiter, and it would just pull up like a bunch of people, and I would just message them. Some reply, some don't. But another thing, which agree to disagree, it might be creepy, but it did work. It got me some interviews. Was after finding like the person and knowing the company they work for, most companies use like this, I guess, email setting whereby it's like first and last name or last name, first name at thecompany.com. And I would just try that out and just email a bunch of people. And I did get an interview from it. So I would say in my own words, like that's a bold step because it is creepy, but that is a bold step. And doing something like that would also help you, yeah. Well, not the creepy part.
So I will tackle the question from the other side of the table, where people have reached out, and one of the reasons that I keep coming back because I do remember very clearly what I went through. I've been an international student. I have been a first-generation immigrant. I have found my resetting at least 3 times. In the industry. So this whole finding the job thing is so close to my heart that I keep coming back every year to all the conferences where I can go, and WECode is one of those conferences. And majority of the time what happens that people do reach out after the conference, and this time it's, I do have I do one-on-one mentoring as well, but I need to somebody needs to reach out to me with a problem statement where I can really help them. So I'm open to that. Where I was able to create opportunity for somebody, there are 2 types, 2 examples that I can give. There was somebody that I knew from the community, just like women in tech communities, and we got connected, and I was kind of just, casually informed on what she was doing. And she got her first job, but then within a year she got laid off. And then the next time she reached out with hey, here's what I'm looking for. Here's my CV. I would appreciate if there are any roles in the company. And very interestingly, we were not hiring for any UX researchers or designers for the longest time. We didn't even have a formal team. But within next 3 to 4 months, one of our product leaders, they decided to start something. And because she had reached out with an action, with a proper ask. So I remembered her, and I quickly, went to my email and I was like, hey, there's somebody that I know. I have her CV, see if she qualifies for the role that you're looking for. And she got hired. Not only she got hired, she now works with me on the platform that I work for. So we are more than a mentee and mentor at this point. We're more like, peers at this point, helping me solve those problems. The second example, very similar, somebody listened to one of the sessions that I was doing on career transformation, and it was I think Women Tech Makers Conference by Google. She listened to that and she reached out, and again, the question was, hey, I'm looking for something. I have been taking a break from career for almost 10 years, and I just don't feel confident coming back into tech. So I listened to your presentation, let me know what should I be doing. So I had a one-on-one mentoring session with her. Now she again reached out with the tangible ask. She looked prepared, she looked interested, she was curious, she was following up. And for that person, when we were looking for interns, I kind of had a conversation with my manager and said, hey, what do you think about a return on this position? Like, an intern would be coming with an entry-level skill. A return after 10 years who is already going through some of these, upskilling and learning. Are you open to making this position open to, for a returnship candidate? And that worked. And that person also joined 4 years ago, and now she's, my peer as well. So these are some of the examples from both of these and many other examples. I think it's the clarity of what your ask is, and then reaching out, and then Don't be offended if somebody is unable to do anything for you, because they may not have anything for you right at that moment. But keeping that connection, having that clarity from both sides, and making it a little bit easier from the other side, like this is exactly what I'm looking for, can really help you. Because these two examples, these two people were at the top of my mind when somebody asked me for a referral, or somebody asked me for, can you find somebody with this skill set? And I was like, yeah, I know two people who are already committed to doing this, so let's invite them for an interview. So to kind of, doubling down on this core message, if you're looking for something, reach out, make an ask, make your ask known, have that clarity, and one of the doors will open for you. If not exact that day, maybe 3 months, 4 months, or in the future. So just keep making those asks.
Thank you guys so much for such an amazing talk, and thank you to the audience for such wonderful questions. I think some of the main takeaways I had, for example, Huma, you talked about how career progressions aren't always linear. We'll run into obstacles and barriers, but every time you run into some speed bump, it's not about feeling too let down by it. You have to actually embrace the challenges that you're given, and I thought that was extremely inspirational. And totally, you talked about in this world, we may struggle a lot, but to never forget where we are, to always be proud of all the accomplishments that we've built up so far, and everything that we've done already is because of our skills and everything that we've done. So that's also very truly heartwarming. And Jaiden, the fact that you're here after attending the WECode conference already is just amazing. But you talked a lot about how, I guess, to not undermine your own abilities, to take every opportunity that you see and work around it, use your skills to shape your skills to what you're trying to apply to, and I think that's so helpful. And last but not least, Z, you talked about how no matter which career path you're on, to not feel confined in it, to give yourself the chance to explore, broaden your horizons, and do a lot more, and embrace everything. And this has been truly inspirational for me. I know I took away a lot from this panel talk, so thank you guys so much, and thank you to all the attendees. Could we please give a round of applause for all our speakers? Big thank you to all 4 of you again. Yeah, one more thing.
So I'm not only here to inspire, I actually brought my son to be inspired by all of you, because when he grows up, he's 11, he's hiding under a desk. You may find, like a tiny little boy roaming around, but I wanted him to know all of you, that you are here today to learn and to grow, and I would like him to be inspired by all of you. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Again, one more time, it was truly inspirational, and we're so grateful and lucky to have all of you. Thank you so much for coming. In just a bit, we'll have our closing ceremony with our closing keynote, Claire Williams. So feel free to stay here, or you can travel outside and walk around and come back again. So thank you guys so much for coming to this panel session again.